Sup homeboys and home gals, multiplier here, and this card has gone by, and it's Ableton Basics number 7 now, sidechain compression. Now, if you're making electronic dance music, or pretty much most kinds of music, you're going to be using some kind of sidechain compression. And when I say sidechain compression, I really mean sidechain compression, sidechain to the kick. And it's basically how you get that pumping effect in dance music, where kind of like the synth or the bass or whatever kind of drops away with the kick and then comes back and then drops away when the next kick comes. It gets that kind of that pumping effect, which if you listen to dance music is everywhere. And even if you don't want that pumping effect, you'd be pretty much always using it, even if it's just a kind of, I don't know, say you want to move the bass out of the way a little bit when the kick hits, but you want the bass to come back immediately. It's a lot easier, or most people just use some kind of sidechain compression on the bass, even if it's just to literally move it out of the way very quickly, so it doesn't have that pumping effect, but moves everything out of the way when the kick hits, because when the kick hits, you want pretty much everything to be moved out of the way. Otherwise, you're going to have lots of complicated issues of phasing, or you're going to run out of headroom, or it's just going to sound like a mess, and it's complicated mixing reasons and simple mixing reasons why you want to move things out of the way when the kick hits, and sidechain compression is how you do that. So, enough rambling, let's show you how it works in Ableton Live. So, let's first of all, let's get some kicks out so I can show you. I'll do a nice 4 to the floor pattern. Let's move this loop brace, so I'm going to move it about, and then hit that loop button, and now it will loop around here. Oh, no, let's drag that into its own. It's in the mic channel, what am I doing? Right, let's stick it here. There you go. Duplicate, and now we've got some kicks. Let's turn it way down just so that you still hear me doing talky talk. Nice and simple, so we've got a loop around those kicks. Now, let's get something out that we want to sidechain. So, let's have a look through my samples folder and let's see if there's something that might be cool. God, I should have really planned ahead. I don't know, loops. Let's try this ARP. So it's 125 BPM. Let's loop it around this. Haven't got my headphones in, so no idea how this will sound. Cool. I'm sure that'll serve the purpose. I can't actually hear it, but no worries. So we got our rename it, command or CTRL R to rename. Let's call that kicks. Let's bracket sent. And let's rename this thing. So we want the thing to be kind of ducking or pumping whenever the kick hits. So how do we do that? So I prefer to do it all in the session view just so I can see what's going on here. But it's basically all down to this audio 2-bit here. So in the kicks, we want the audio 2 to be sends only. Now what that means is whatever's going on in this channel, on this kicks channel, isn't going to the master, it's just kind of happening and sending out to whoever wants to pick it up. Now at the moment, nothing's picking it up. So if we press play, starting from the right bit, you can hear that the thing is happening, but there's no kicks because we just got a send only. So what we need on the thing channel is a compressor. So we go to the effects bit, so it's over here. We need to go to audio effects and then compressor, drag one of those out. And then the secret button that you can easily overlook is that little arrow there, and that opens up the sidechain bit. So we hit sidechain, no big surprise there, and we do audio from kicks sent. And this is where it's useful to name your channel that's actually sending the kicks, because otherwise, especially if you've got tons of tracks, it can be hard to figure out exactly what's doing what. So that's why I always name stuff. It just makes things easier. It doesn't take long to name things, and you don't get as confused, because I get confused all the time. And post effects, pre-effects, might as well leave it on post effects unless you're doing something complicated, and leave all these settings as they are, again, unless you're doing something slightly complicated. Same with the EQ, best just leave it out for now until you get more used to the way things work. So now, if I just kind of show you what's going on, what we need to look for is See this threshold? Now because we've sidechained it, like the input for this compressor is this kicks channel. So you can see the kicks, this kind of threshold is happening where the kicks are. But at the moment, because we haven't pulled down the threshold, they're not actually triggering the compressor. So you'll notice, basically, as I pull down this threshold, you'll start to notice that the kicks are kind of, whenever the kicks hit in, it compresses, like makes quieter the thing. And then as the kicks goes away, the compressor lets go, and then the thing comes back. So that's how you get that pumping effect. I'm sure that's pumping, haven't got my headphones on. And we can see with this middle section, probably called gain reduction, fancy word for like volume reduction. You can see it's squishing. So whenever there's orange, that is how much it's squishing. So a lot of orange means it's squishing it a lot. So you can kind of, if you look in this middle bit, you can see how much it's pushing it up and down. And it's also useful because you can see like how the compressor's behaving. That's pretty cool. We've got some compression going on, some kind of that pumping effect. Now, there is a few settings to play about with. The attack, you can probably leave it where it is for this kind of, we can probably make it even shorter if you want for this kind of sidechain compression. Things to play about with is the threshold, the ratio, and the release time. Now, the ratio is basically, the way it works is whenever the kicks are above, you see this input, whenever the meter is above that threshold, so you see it's noticeably above the threshold, it will compress it by a certain amount, and that amount is determined by how much it is above that threshold and the ratio. So if it's, say, 1 dB above the threshold and the ratio is 2, then it will squish the thing 2 dB at that point. Now if the ratio is 10, and the threshold, and it's 1 dB above the threshold, it squishes it 10. So the ratio is like how aggressively it squishes it. And the threshold is at what point it starts to squish it. So release time is as you expect, it's how long the compressor holds it down before it lets go. So have a play about with it. At first you'll have to either think about exactly what bit each is doing or do it randomly, but reasonably quickly you'll start to get a feel for what does what, and you won't spend ages kind of setting this up. You'll just kind of drag it out and pretty much immediately drag it to whichever settings you want. And you can get it doing everything from literally moving everything away just as the kick's there, so you don't really notice that, say if you've got like a kick and a bass going on, you don't want the bass to be there when the kick's there, so you have the bass sidechain compressed to the kick. And what you do then is, if you don't want that pumping effect, you'd have kind of like a really short release time, so that as soon as the kick kind of goes away, the bass is back immediately. It doesn't get held down. If it gets held down, it comes back a bit late, and that's how you get that pumping effect. So just have a play about with it to do exactly what you want. And it's also worth noting, what a lot of people do is you don't have to have your kicks that are being sent to the compressor to be the same kicks that are actually in your track. So especially if you have like a really wobbly or a really messy kick that's kind of all over the place, but you don't want your compressor to be doing stuff that's all over the place, you can have a different kick sending signals to the compressor. So I'd say more people than don't have a different kick actually being sent to the compressor. They have like a cleaner kick or a shorter kick or something like that, depending on what you want the compressor to do. But yeah, it's worth noting you can have different stuff triggering it to have the same effect. And yeah, another quick thing, if you are new to producing dance music, you want to sidechain pretty much everything. That's just the way things work. That's how you get things dancey, because you need that pumping effect, because that's what makes people dance. Now, you may be saying, well, sidechain everything, wouldn't it sound all too pumpy? Well, yes, if you have it quite aggressive settings, but what most people do is you have like almost like 3 kinds of sidechain compression. You have that really pumpy thing where it comes in just at the end and you get that like stereotypical dance effect. Or you can have the thing that I just described with the bass, where you move everything out of the way only for a short amount of time, just when the kick's there, so you don't really notice everything else went away. The other kind is almost like the pumpy thing, but really subtle. So if you had like something very subtly just moving up and down kind of rhythmically, because for dance music everything needs to happen rhythmically, and having kind of the volume of whatever it is go up and down kind of very, even subtly, can make a big difference subconsciously to how dancey it feels. So you want to be sidechaining most stuff, basically. And yeah, you can send sidechain stuff to gates as well. So we stuck a gate, get rid of this compressor, hit that little arrow, you can sidechain it there. So you can do lots of other stuff with the sidechain. Best to have a play about, but sidechain compression is the first thing to do. Yeah, do have a play about. That's the only way you really understand these things, but at least I showed you how to do it. So yeah, very quickly, just because I'm sure you'll probably forgot, in the compressor, you have to click that arrow to see the sidechain, because it's completely hidden away and it's not obvious where it is. So compressor, hit that arrow, then you hit sidechain, then you can basically set it up. Cool, and I think that's you good to go with sidechain compression. Yeah, 10 minutes in, that's been episode number /video/number 7 now. Let's do number 8, 9, and 10.